So the last time we did the song Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, we did a very basic picking version of it. And I'm sure most of you did very well at it. Well, here we are, up for a new challenge. This challenge here today is going to be to make a slightly more challenging version of the song Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So let's take a look. So here we are with the song Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And before we start anything, I want to talk about these cluster of notes that you see. Let's start with measure number 2. Because if you look at measure number 2, you'll see a cluster of notes there that I want to make sure you understand how to read. If you read it from top to bottom, I'm talking about the tab staff, you will see the numbers 0, 1, 0, 2. If you look at my fingerboard, you're going to notice that if I hold the number 0, then followed by a 1, followed by a 0, and then a 2, you're going to notice that I'm holding an F chord. And you see that squiggly line right next to it, right? That squiggly line tells you to strum down using your thumb like this. So here's the thing, right? When you strum down using your thumb, you're creating what's known as an arpeggio. An arpeggio is the separation of notes being presented in a chord. So I'll separate the notes. That's an arpeggio. Anytime you do something like that, even if it's backwards or even out of order, that is also considered arpeggios of a chord because of the way that it's being presented to the listener. So, whenever you see those cluster of notes, remember that you're going to be playing that as a chord. Furthermore, if you see less than 4 notes clustered like that or stacked, when you see them stacked like that, be aware. Look how many notes are actually stacked. In the case of that F chord, yes, it was 4 notes. But in the case of the opening chord, the 2 notes, technically not a chord because a chord technically has 3 notes, I know, but whatever the case, those 2 zeros over there, they're telling you to only play 2 strings. Bam, let's go. So if you look at my ukulele now, you notice that I'm just going to play the top 2 strings like that, and I'm going to stop it on the string below. So that is how I would play the first note. The next note is a 0, so you know how to do that, right? The third note that you see there starts with the 3 on the E string, and then we pick the 0 right above and the 0 right above on the C and G strings respectively. So, to play that, I would just take my thumb and just let it fall down the strings. You don't want to force it. You don't want to do this, right? What you want to do is you want to breathe and exhale like this. Think about a harpist and what a harpist does and what a harpist sounds like when they play their strings. They usually use separate fingers. Actually, I think they always do, but I'm not a harpist. And they'll play like that to create that arpeggio sound. You can do that with just your thumb. The control is not as great. And maybe eventually you'll get into doing this type of picking. But for now, the thumb is perfect. So I'm going to play the first measure for you. Here we go. We've already looked at that F chord in measure 2, so I'm not going to discuss it any further. There it is. Moving to measure number 3, we have once again an F chord, that 102. However, notice only 3 strings are occupied currently. So we're only going to play those 3 strings. And if you look, that's going to be your top string, the C string, and the E string. So I'll play those together. So measure number 3, therefore, looks like this. Sorry, that's 3 and 4. But measure number 4 is that's the kind of stuff you know already, so I'm not too worried about that, right? If we move on to measure number 5, here we go. that chord, that 3-0-0, is back again. Only 3 strings. 1-0-2 is back again. Only 3 strings. 0-0-0 is back again. They keep coming back. And then 2-0. Now, if you look at pretty much the rest of the song, it's a repeat. So I'm going to play from Like a Diamond is a Star. So I'm going to play from Like a Diamond in the Sky. And I'm going to play us all the way out to the end of the song. Nice and slow so you can see what's happening. I'm going to walk us through. I'll talk through it and everything so you folks know what I'm doing. I'm starting in measure number 7. That is the Like a Diamond in the Sky. Don't forget, just because the words are different there, the melody doesn't change. So we as instrumentalists, at least that's what I am because I'm not a singer. We as instrumentalists, we can go ahead and say, hey, I'm just going to play the same thing that I did on the measure before or on the time before. And it works. Check it out. Here we are, measure number 7. I'm going to that F chord, playing a partial F chord. Going to the C chord, I'm playing a partial C chord. I like that word, partial. And then I'm going to the 2-0. Measure 9, once again, good news. Measure number 9, we start once again with what happened in the beginning of the song. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Listen. There's the first 2 zeros, and then 3-0-0, a partial chord. F, complete chord. Then for a final measure, we change just a little bit. Coming up, you're gonna see it. 2, 2, and for this last chord, we're gonna play a C. How's about it? Remember to practice slowly. If you practice slowly, you can get control of your fingers. When you practice quickly, you end up making mistakes. Keep doing those mistakes over and over again and they become habit. You're practicing your mistakes if you're practicing fast. Don't forget that. I'll see you guys soon. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, red. Three, 4, 1, 2, red. Four, 1, 2, red. Two, 3, 4, 1, Red.